A Gates Foundation insider has revealed America's food supply will be deliberately infected with bird flu to spark the next pandemic and pave the way for Bill Gates' next money-spinning vaccine to conquer the global market. As mainstream media reports on the fear of a mass contagion event this week after bird flu fragments were mysteriously found in grocery store milk, it just so happens that Gates has a lucrative bird flu vaccine entering trials. And it also just so happens that the Gates Foundation is already working behind the scenes to organise urgent global distribution of the bird flu vax. Before we dive in, subscribe to the People's Voice Rumble channel if you haven't already, and check out the new free speech forum on community.thepeoplesvoice.tv. Gates is doubling down on his attack on the global food supply, manufacturing another crisis, and ordering his bought and paid for media outlets to generate the fear necessary to further the globalist agenda. The elite are using the tried and tested problem reaction solution matrix. They intentionally cause a problem, use the media to provoke a terrified reaction from the public, and then they roll out the solution. Remember the COVID pandemic? By the time the elite rolled out the vaccines, after months of media hype, the brainwashed public were desperately rolling up their sleeves to get their doses of poison pumped into their arms.
The worry is that it could acquire the ability to easily infect people, humans. So how likely is that, and how concerned are you about that?
I mean, avian influenzas historically have crossed the barrier into humans and caused sickness and death. So it's certainly possible. We've obviously just dealt with a huge pandemic. So I'm concerned. The numbers at this point are very low. Right now, to me, this outbreak is extraordinary in the sense that it is infecting all kinds of animals, including some of the animals that we rely on for global food security. But to your point, it is certainly demonstrated an ability to cross into humans. And, we've only had a handful of infections at this point. We need to keep a very vigilant eye on understanding how the virus is spreading into these animals and potentially what the risks are to humans from those animals that we rely on for our food.
We have identified the problem of bird flu in the pasteurized milk supply, and we've seen the reaction of the mainstream media as they instill terror in the minds of the gullible public. So, what's the solution? According to Gates, the solution is a new experimental H5N1 mRNA vaccine that he just so happens to be pushing through the trial phase as we speak. There are 4 vaccines licensed for avian influenza. However, none are currently approved for the more dangerous H5N1 bird flu strain. Gates appears set to cash in on the crisis, publishing a disturbing statement on a global agreement to distribute his vaccine around the world, before the vaccine has even been approved. But Gates has every right to be smugly confident. Let's face it, he isn't only playing off the media, he owns the regulators too. The globalist billionaire with the uncanny timing is set to reap another massive windfall with the bird flu vaccine. But if you're still unconvinced that Gates is behind the crisis, wait till you hear who's been working on gain-of-function experiments to make bird flu more lethal to humans. The fact is, the usual suspects have left their fingerprints all over this crime scene. The Biden regime, through the USDA, has been exposed collaborating with a Chinese military lab, working on enhancing the lethality of bird flu viruses and increasing their transmission rate to humans. Paying attention now? 18 congressional members have questioned the Department of Agriculture regarding this initiative, which was first reported by the Daily Mail. This project is part of a $1 million partnership between the USDA and the Chinese Academy of Sciences, which just so happens to manage the Wuhan lab implicated in the COVID lab leak. It is an election year, after all. What are the odds that Gates, the Biden regime, and Fauci before his retirement just so happen to be funding gain-of-function experiments into bird flu just before it jumped to humans through the US food supply? And Gates just so happened to have a vaccine ready. Honestly, they're getting sloppy now. They really think we're stupid. But it gets even worse. The manufactured bird flu crisis is the perfect storm for Gates and the globalists. And if we're not careful, historians of the future will identify it as the moment the elite locked the door on the prison planet and threw away the key. We've got the all-important details of their multi-step plan for totalitarian domination after this important word from our sponsor. The manufactured energy crisis is causing our bills to rise at a historic rate, and there's no end in sight. Several studies reveal that energy costs have skyrocketed by a whopping 60% in as little as 2 years. This is why tens of thousands of people are installing this clever little device to help drastically slash their energy bills. This gadget stabilizes electrical currents, reduces dirty electricity, and helps protect your appliances and electronics. Simply plug it into your home's wall outlet to help dramatically lower energy consumption and ultimately help reduce your power bills month after month. The energy companies absolutely hate this and don't want you to know about this closely guarded secret. Place your order now and receive 65% off. Viewers of this channel also get a 60-day money-back guarantee. First, they want to kill millions of cows. The elites began the cull in recent years. However, they've been frustrated by the public's unwillingness to allow them to continue. We the people love our beef. It has provided high-quality nutrition to the human race since time began. We have no interest in consuming Bill Gates' carcinogenic synthetic beef. The elites are gambling that the fear instilled in the public will allow them to move ahead with slaughtering hundreds of millions of cows around the world on the pretext of public health and safety. Mad cow disease was the test run to see how the public would react to the tainted beef supply. The gullible public failed that collective IQ test, and now the elites are convinced we will fail again. But it's not just about beef, it's about birds too, chickens specifically. Gates has already made plans to vaccinate 33 billion chickens around the world with mRNA. That's a fortune in terms of vaccine revenue for Gates. But it's also the first phase of a multi-step plan that's been in the works for years. 33 is obviously a very symbolic number for the elite, and we see it all the time. The reality is, the so-called bird flu, or H5N1, is a vaccine-induced illness and nothing more. The illness becomes a perpetual circle that leads to further injections and antibiotics, which cause more illness, both in the birds themselves and the humans who consume them. It's blatantly obvious what's happening here. Big Pharma continues to do the work of the anti-humanists to trial run a fun technocratic takeover of mankind. They utilize fake PCR tests to tell people the chickens are getting sick. They then inject the chickens with poison that the public then eats, which leads to more people getting sick. This leads them to take further dystopian measures as they mass depopulate chickens, cows, and other animals. This leads to a collapse of the food supply on top of the already existing climate restrictions, World War III, false flags, and economic collapse. This all then leads to further lockdowns and the public eating mRNA and bug-infused ration foods, based on a carbon credit score attached to a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. This new currency and food reset is connected to a unified ledger, which tracks and traces everybody to determine their WF-approved social credit score. This new dystopian reality forces people to own nothing while living in 15-minute cities, better described as techno-ghettos, while facing the conundrum, comply or starve. There are solutions to this problem right before our eyes, but will enough people wake up in time to take these solutions seriously? That's the question. Here at The People's Voice, we are determined to continue waking people up. Join us in our mission by subscribing to the channel and check out the new free speech forum at community.thepeoplesvoice.tv. I hope to see you there. Today's video is brought to you by IPv6ers. Are you a content creator who wants to publish information online without Big Brother spying and censoring your every move? IPv6ers is set to revolutionize the way information is disseminated on the internet by eliminating the need for big tech companies to provide unreliable, overpriced services such as self-hosting, email, and data management. IPv6ers enables an easy and accessible way for you to host your own web and email server with direct end-to-end connections and enhanced security. This means no snooping from Big Brother and no interference from the technocratic elite. If Hillary Clinton can get away with running her own server, why shouldn't you? Go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 to sign up, or click the link below this video to take back control of the internet and win the info wars against the globalists. If you like our content, help support our sponsor IPv6ers and go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 today. Thank you IPv6ers for making this video possible.